Across Europe and India, you can walk into two different dealerships, see two different badges, and still end up buying what is essentially the same car underneath. Same platform, same hybrid system, sometimes even the same factory, just a different logo on the hood. This is Ted from CarlandTV, and today we're breaking down how Toyota and Suzuki ended up sharing cars, what's actually identical, and whether the cheaper badge is the smarter buy. But first, do me a quick favor. Tap that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. It ain't required, but those clicks keep this thing rolling and make it easier for me to keep dropping solid car content straight to your screen. Now let's get back into it. The deal that started it all. Everybody thinks rebadging is just some lazy sticker swap, like an intern walked over and slapped a new logo on the grill. Toyota and Suzuki didn't do that by accident. In August 2019, they locked in a real capital alliance, money on the table, shares exchanged, and a public plan to cooperate while still competing. Here's the hard fact part. Toyota agreed to buy 24 million Suzuki shares, which worked out to about a 4.94% stake based on Suzuki's share count at the time, for roughly 96 billion yen. Suzuki, on the other side, planned to buy Toyota shares worth about 48 billion yen on the market, a much smaller slice of Toyota, roughly around 0.2%. That imbalance tells you what this really is. Toyota wanted influence and scale in small cars and emerging markets, and Suzuki wanted access to Toyota-grade hybrid tech and electrification muscle without burning a fortune reinventing it. The timing matters too. By 2019, emissions and fleet targets were getting tighter in places like Europe, and electrification development costs were getting stupid expensive. So the partnership focused on sharing electrified powertrains, platforms, and product development, especially for compact cars and SUVs, where margins are thinner and buyers are brutal about price. If you ever wondered why certain Suzuki-badged models suddenly show up with Toyota-like hybrid guts, this alliance is the paper trail. That sets the table for why some Toyota versus Suzuki matchups look like rivals in the parking lot, but feel suspiciously familiar once you start looking at the platform, the hybrid system layout, and where the parts and factories trace back. Europe's almost identical twins. If you want to see where the twin thing is the most obvious, look at Europe. That's where Suzuki straight up sells the Across, and underneath it, you're basically getting a Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid. Same core hardware, same platform family, same plug-in hybrid system that Toyota engineered. Let's talk real numbers in US terms so it actually makes sense. The RAV4 plug-in hybrid setup uses a 2.5-liter four-cylinder paired with electric motors and an electronic CVT. Combined output sits right around 300 horsepower, depending on model year. The newer battery pack is about 22.7 kilowatt-hours, and in US EPA terms, the RAV4 Prime is rated at about 42 miles of all-electric range. That is not a mild hybrid. That is legit daily commuting without touching gas if your drive is short. In Europe, that translates to extremely low tailpipe emissions ratings under their WLTP cycle, which is exactly why Suzuki needed it for fleet compliance. The Suace is the same idea, just smaller. It is effectively a Corolla Touring Sports hybrid. That means Toyota's 1.8-liter hybrid system, around 138 horsepower combined, front-wheel drive, and the familiar Toyota hybrid eCVT setup. In US fuel economy language, that drivetrain is the kind of system that regularly clears the 45 to 50 miles per gallon range, depending on driving style and conditions. Reliable, efficient, not exciting, but rock solid. So in Europe, this is not subtle. The powertrains, the hybrid architecture, and most of the safety tech trace back to Toyota engineering. Once you see that, the real discussion becomes how India handled this partnership. Because over there, the dynamic shifts a bit. India's hybrid power move. India is where this Toyota-Suzuki thing stops looking like a pure badge swap and starts looking like a joint business plan with spreadsheets, factories, and parts sourcing behind it. The cleanest example is the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder and the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara. Different badges, different grills, different trim names, but a shared core that was built to win India's mid-size SUV war without either company eating the full development bill alone. Under the hood, the big story is the strong hybrid setup that Toyota basically knows better than anyone. Toyota's own spec sheet for the Hyryder's strong hybrid lists a 1.5-liter gas engine, paired with an AC synchronous motor, lithium-ion battery, and an e-drive style transmission that's essentially an eCVT style hybrid system. Total system output is about 114 horsepower, and Toyota lists the hybrid battery at 177.6 volts. Translation in real life: smooth, low-speed torque. Gas engine runs more like a generator under light load, and the drivetrain feels built for traffic, not drag races. Now, the part people miss is that there are effectively two flavors in this family. The strong hybrid is the Toyota-style setup focused on efficiency and smoothness. The other common option is a more conventional one. 5-liter gas setup with mild hybrid assist, and that's where you'll see things like all-wheel drive availability depending on variant and brand packaging. That's why two twin SUVs can still feel different in the real world when you actually drive them and compare trims. Production matters too. These models have been built in India at Toyota Kirloskar Motors facility in Bidadi, Karnataka, which is a pretty loud clue that Toyota's manufacturing footprint is doing heavy lifting here. Once you understand that, the pricing split starts making a lot more sense, because the badge is only one piece of what you're paying for. Same under the hood? Now, let's answer the question everybody throws in the comments. Are these actually the same under the hood, or are we just talking about shared door handles and vibes? In Europe, with the Suzuki Across and the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid, the answer is about as close to identical as the industry gets, without calling it the same VIN. Same 2.5-liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder. Same front and rear electric motor layout for electric all-wheel drive. Same lithium-ion battery capacity in the newer generation at roughly 22.7 kilowatt-hours. Same eCVT-style hybrid transaxle. Power output lands right around 300 horsepower combined, depending on model year. When you line up the drivetrain diagrams, it's Toyota hardware through and through. Suzuki did not engineer a separate plug-in system for that vehicle. That is Toyota's TNGA-based plug-in architecture. With the Suace and the Corolla Touring Sports Hybrid, the same story mechanically. Toyota's 1.8-liter hybrid system. Integrated motor-generator setup. Electronic continuously variable transmission. And the same hybrid control logic that Toyota has refined for decades. You are not getting a Suzuki version of the hybrid. You are getting a Toyota hybrid. India is slightly more layered. The strong hybrid versions of the Hyryder and Grand Vitara use Toyota's hybrid system, including the electric motor, battery pack, and hybrid transaxle layout. The mild hybrid gas variants, though, are more Suzuki-driven on the engine side. So, depending on which trim you pick, the mechanical DNA leans heavier toward one brand. So yes, in certain cases, these are genuine mechanical twins. In others, they are shared architecture with brand-specific variations. That nuance is where the price differences start creeping in, and that is where buyers need to pay attention instead of just staring at the badge. So, why the price gap? Here's where people get confused and start yelling brand tax in the comments. If the hardware is basically the same in some of these models, why is the price not perfectly matched? The short answer is that the badge is only part of the equation. The longer answer comes down to positioning, distribution, and what each company is trying to protect. Take Europe. Toyota has a stronger brand presence across a lot of EU markets, especially when it comes to hybrids. Decades of Prius dominance built real consumer trust in Toyota's hybrid systems. That reputation affects resale values and finance rates. Independent resale data across Europe regularly shows Toyota ranking near the top for residual value retention in the hybrid segment. So even if the Suzuki Across shares the same plug-in drivetrain as the RAV4 plug-in hybrid, Toyota can justify slightly stronger pricing in some markets because the badge carries resale weight and a broader dealer footprint. Now flip to India. Maruti Suzuki has one of the largest dealer networks in the country and historically dominates small car and compact SUV volume. Toyota, through Toyota Kirloskar Motor, has a smaller retail footprint. That changes how vehicles are priced and packaged. Sometimes, Toyota variants carry a slight premium because of perceived brand strength and service experience. Other times, Suzuki can undercut because it has scale and supplier leverage on its side. It depends on trim and market cycle. Then there's feature bundling. Even with shared platforms, brands tweak standard equipment, infotainment specs, safety features, and warranty coverage. Those small packaging differences move the sticker. The same core chassis does not guarantee the same cost structure. When the numbers don't line up perfectly, it is not some secret markup conspiracy. It is market strategy, dealer economics, and brand positioning layered on top of shared engineering. And once you see that, the bigger question becomes whether this alliance strengthens both brands long-term or slowly blurs their identities. Brilliant move or brand blur. Nobody in this industry shares hybrid systems out of kindness. The financial reality is brutal. Developing a modern electrified platform costs billions once you factor in battery integration, thermal management, software calibration, emissions certification, crash testing with high-voltage systems, and production tooling. Toyota has been refining its hybrid transaxles and Atkinson cycle engines for over 2 decades. That R&D is already amortized across millions of units globally. When Suzuki taps into that ecosystem, it skips the most expensive learning curve in the business. From Toyota's side, this alliance expands volume without building new factories everywhere. In India, Maruti Suzuki's distribution network dwarfs Toyota's footprint. More shared production through facilities like Toyota Kirloskar Motor increases supplier leverage and lowers per-unit cost. Higher volume improves margins even if the badge on the hood changes. The identity concern is real, but it's controlled. Toyota is not outsourcing its entire lineup. Suzuki is not abandoning independent engineering. These overlaps are targeted in regions where emissions rules or market economics make solo development inefficient. Call it survival math. Call it strategic scaling. Either way, the shared models exist because electrification and regulation forced collaboration. The badge might differ, but the financial logic underneath is what really drives this partnership.